guys, so here's part two where we're going to talk about your resume. It may seem kind of backwards to talk about the resume before the job application, in that you're going to customize your resume to a specific job vacancy announcement. But we will talk about how to search for that vacancy announcement and apply on USA Jobs in part three. So tonight we're going to talk about your resume. A couple of tips for your resume. You want to make sure that your full name, address, phone number, and email address appear at the top of your resume. Your resume can be as long as it needs to be. All of your work experience needs to appear in reverse order, your current position at the top, and in backwards chronological order, all the way down. If you have multiple positions with the same department, or with the same organization, my recommendation is to make separate work experience entries for each of those titles, so you can be detailed about what you did in each of those things. If you had any accomplishments or sales goals met or anything like that, you want to highlight those. Another thing that people forget is they may not know how to write their duties and responsibilities and accomplishments in active voice. So passive voice is saying about something that will be done, was done, or something that you're going to do. So an example of passive voice writing is like marketing materials were used in presentations or something like that. Active voice is created marketing materials in presentations, right? You want to make sure that what the verbiage that was actually done comes first. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to email me your resume and I'll look through there and make sure if there's any inconsistencies between tenses or active or passive voice, you can kind of get those cleared up because they're kind of hard to see if you're not used to seeing them. The other thing you want to know how to do is how to read the vacancy announcement itself. There's always an overview section in the vacancy announcement that gives you the high level details of what this job vacancy is going to entail. It will say explicitly the opening and closing dates. Please remember that the opening and closing dates are in Pacific time. So if it says you have until November 1st, close of business or whatever, it says if you have until November 1st to complete an application, that does not mean Central Time, 11:59 p.m. for you. These are Pacific time dates, times. So it would be by midnight Pacific time of that date. So please don't think that you're going to, a lot of people might wait until the very last minute of a closing date to apply and then find out that they've run out of time because the time has already elapsed. So you do have until 11:59 p.m. of the closing date, but that's in Pacific time. It'll clearly list the salary. It's going to have a start and end salary because in the federal government, every 52 weeks, as long as you're fully successful and you're meeting all of your goals and performance standards, then you will receive a promotion the first 3 years. And then after year 4, it's every other year, every 2 years. And then, after that, every 3 or 4 years. So you'd have to check the OPM site. And those little steps in between are called within grade increases. And the pay scale we are on is a grade series. So you'll hear people refer to how much to a vacancy announcement by grade series or the grade scale. You'll hear GS4, GS5, 6, 7, 8. And that just tells you if it's an entry level position or how much money, what the compensation is going to be like for each grade. It also has the location, and this location will tell you which cities and states or at which VA locations this job is going to be available for. A lot of times you'll see under location many vacancies in the following location, and it'll have a list of different places. And once you get into the application, you'll have to mark which places you want to live. Most people want a remote job, which means it'll say anywhere in the US. That's also a good tip to tell you how to search for remote jobs. And under location, you'll post anywhere in the US, and that will pull all the remote jobs. It will tell you if this job is telework eligible. Telework means that they're going to allow you to work from home, but you don't want to assume that it's 100% telework. Some of the telework requirements are that you come into the office 2 or 3 times in a pay period. Sometimes the telework requirements, which are determined by agency, may determine that you have to live within 50 miles of a certain location. So you want to be careful to read between remote and telework, it will say. But if it says remote job or if it says anywhere in the US, that means that your home address is going to be, you're going to be 100% virtual employee. which is what I'm at. So a lot of people don't know that that's different. Travel requirements, it'll tell you whether or not you have to travel. If they will pay for relocation expenses, it'll say yes or no. If the appointment type is permanent or temporary, it'll say permanent or temporary. It'll say if it's a temporary assignment not to exceed 1 year, it'll say NTE, not to exceed, means that this job is only guaranteed for a year and you don't know whether or not they're going to renew it at the end of that year or allow you to go permanent or not. Promotion potential tells you the highest grade series that a job will cap out at. So the grade series may start at a 4 or 5, but the highest promotion potential might be a 6. So there's an option for you to be able to either come in at one of the higher promotion potentials, or over time you'll be at a just, whatever the promotion potential. But potential just means the top of what you'll be able to make in that position. It'll say supervisory status, yes or no. If a security clearance is required, yes or no. If a drug test is required, yes or no. What the sensitivity or risk or trust determination is going to be if you're going to be working in a building that has a bunch of sensitive military documents. And just know that the background process can take up to 1 year to complete. So that's the reason why usually the probationary period is 1 year. If you are already in federal service and you're applying for a job that is supervisory and you're not a supervisor right now, then know that the majority of the time when you're going from a non-supervisory position to supervisory, you're back on probation for a year. So some of those tips may help you with your resume, because you want to tailor your resume to the job requirements and the things that it's asking in that job. I do not recommend that you copy and paste from the duties and responsibilities page. They will be able to tell. Yes, feel free to mimic language to make it sound, use as many words as possible that are already in the vacancy announcement, but don't copy and paste. I don't recommend that. 2, do not limit yourself, bragging on yourself on all of the accomplishments that you've done in past jobs. There's no limit on how long your resume can be, as long as it can be uploaded to USA Jobs and it doesn't exceed their megabyte requirement. So you can have, my personal resume is 15 pages long. So, and I've been in the workforce since I was 19. So please include everything. Don't just include the last 5 years or the last 10 years or whatever. Include all of your work experience since you enter the workforce, and that will help you. If you have gaps, don't worry about that. If they care about it, they'll ask about it in the interview, and I'll tell you about that. I believe it's part 4, how to respond to those gaps in work history. So again, I'm going to post this USA Jobs link that tells you, gives you sort of a guide for your resumes for those of you that are visual, and it helps you to be able to see something. And then I'm going to post my personal email address. You can email me, and I'm happy to help you. Thanks, guys.